All right, so today we're going to help you get ready to absolutely crush it
Yeah.
in that environmental technician interview.
Hmm.
We've got some really cool resources from RoleCatcher to help us do that.
Absolutely.
They've got a career guide, they've got an
Br-
interview guide, and
Yeah.
they've even got an AI platform
Right.
that helps tailor your responses so that you can be super prepared.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting how
Yeah.
this deep dive goes beyond like just the typical interview prep,
All
We're
right.
not just giving you like what are the questions and answers. It's
Yeah.
like what are they really looking for behind those questions
Excellent.
so you can make sure you're giving them the best answers.
Exactly. So let's just start with the basics. What does an environmental technician actually do?
Right.
So imagine yourself kind of like an environmental detective, right?
Okay.
You're out there, you're investigating pollution sources,
Yeah.
you're taking samples of soil and water and air,
Mm-hmm.
and you're using those samples to help you develop plans to protect the environment.
Totally. And what's cool about that is,
Yeah.
one day you might be out in the field collecting those samples.
Right.
The next day you're in the lab analyzing them.
Yeah. You get a lot of variety,
Exactly.
which is really cool.
And what's interesting too is,
Yeah.
these jobs are super in demand.
Yeah. Why is that?
There's this growing concern for the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and companies and agencies are really realizing
Yeah.
they need experts to help them go green
Totally.
and to follow all those regulations. So it's a great field to be in right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Job security is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So let's talk about the realities of this career.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide dives into some pros and cons.
Yeah.
And, I think it's always important to be aware of both.
Totally.
So on the plus side,
Mm-hmm.
you're making a real difference, like a tangible impact
Right.
on the environment.
Yeah.
You get to work in these super diverse environments.
Mhm.
You could be like a bustling city, or you could be out in the wilderness.
Totally.
Like, it's pretty cool. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of potential for growth.
Lots of different paths.
Yeah, you could specialize in something
Absolutely.
like air quality
Mhm.
or water pollution, and you could be like the expert.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But obviously, every job has its challenges.
Right.
So what are some of the downsides?
So sometimes the work can be really demanding physically.
Yeah.
You might be exposed to hazardous materials,
Right.
and you might have to work long or irregular hours.
Mm-hmm. So not for everyone.
Right.
So for someone who's like, okay, this sounds really cool.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get into this field?
Okay, so education-wise,
Yeah.
most roles just require an associate degree.
Okay. Not too bad.
Yeah. Less time in school, more time saving the planet.
I love that.
But, a bachelor's degree can definitely open more doors
Yeah, that makes sense.
to those higher level positions.
So what classes should somebody be thinking about taking in college?
Think like environmental science, biology, chemistry, geology.
Okay.
If you loved those classes in high school,
Yeah.
this could be a really great career for you.
So now let's get into the heart of it.
Right.
How to ace that interview.
Mm.
This is where this AI platform from RoleCatcher
Right.
is like mind-blowing.
Right.
It analyzes job descriptions
Yeah.
to tell you exactly what skills
Mm-hmm.
each employer is looking for.
It takes all the guesswork out.
It does. It
Get
does.
rid of it.
Yeah, it's so cool. So it's like you're getting this personalized cheat sheet
Exactly.
for your resume and for your interview.
I love that.
It's awesome. All right, so let's run through some questions.
Okay.
Think of this as like a practice round.
Okay.
I like it. So you're in the hot seat.
All right. Bring it on.
Okay. Question number 1.
Okay.
Describe your experience with environmental monitoring and testing.
All right.
Don't just list the tasks that you've done.
Right.
You got to highlight the why, you know what's behind it.
Totally.
Why were you doing this?
Yeah. What were you trying to figure out?
Yeah.
What problems were you solving?
Yes, and how did you use your skills to do that?
Exactly. Show them what,
Yeah, like maybe talk about a specific situation
Mm-hmm.
where you had to troubleshoot a piece of equipment
Totally.
or analyze some complex data.
Yeah, like tell a story.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI is super helpful
Right.
because it can actually tell you, based on the job description,
Mm-hmm.
like what specific skills to focus on.
Exactly.
So for example, if the job description emphasizes water quality,
Right.
it will say, hey, focus your answer on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it will even give you suggestions on how to answer it.
Yeah. It's like having your own personal coach.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, question number 2.
Okay.
This one's a little tricky.
Okay.
How do you prioritize and manage your workload when working on multiple environmental projects simultaneously.
Whoa.
Right, so it's all about organization and being able to like juggle those multiple tasks.
Yeah.
So how would you approach that?
So I would talk about my system.
Okay.
So maybe you use a project management software.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you like the color-coded spreadsheets.
Some people love those.
Maybe just a good old to-do list.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, explain how you keep track of deadlines, how you delegate tasks, and how you make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
So what if they follow up with something like tell me about a time when you had to like reprioritize things
Yeah.
because something unexpected happened?
Totally.
How would you answer that?
Yeah, so tell a story about a time when maybe a project suddenly changed or
Right.
there was an emergency,
Yeah.
and show them you can think on your feet
Yeah.
and still deliver those results.
And again, RoleCatcher can actually help you prepare for those follow-ups because it's seen those job descriptions.
Yes.
It knows what kinds of questions people ask.
Exactly.
All right, question number 3.
Okay.
This one might sound intimidating,
Okay.
but it's really not.
Right.
Can you describe your experience with environmental regulations and compliance? So how would you answer that?
Yeah, so instead of just saying that you're familiar with regulations,
Yeah.
mention specific laws that you've worked with.
Oh, okay.
So if you've worked with hazardous waste,
Mm-hmm.
talk about your knowledge of a RCRA
Yeah.
and how you've applied those principles in your work.
So what if they ask about a regulation
Okay.
that you haven't worked with directly?
Right. So even if you don't have hands-on experience,
Yeah.
you can still show them that you're knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how you stay up to date.
Okay.
Maybe you go to workshops or read industry publications.
What?
Just show them that you're committed to that continuous learning.
I love that. Okay, question number 4.
Okay.
This is all about passion.
Right.
How do you stay up to date with the latest environmental research and developments?
Ooh, I like this one.
This is where you get to geek out a little.
Yeah.
So how do you stay up to date?
So I would talk about, industry journals,
Mm-hmm.
professional organizations, conferences, even podcasts like this one.
Of course.
If you're a member of the NAEP
Yeah.
or you read the Journal of Environmental Quality,
Yeah.
show them that you're really engaged in the field.
And don't be afraid to talk about specific research that you found interesting
Yes,
because it shows that you're really thinking about it.
totally.
Okay, question number 5. This was all about storytelling.
Okay, let's hear it.
Describe a time when you had to troubleshoot an environmental problem.
All right, so star moment,
Yes.
situation, task, action, result.
Tell a story.
Yes.
So what kind of story would you tell?
So maybe you identified an environmental issue before it became a big problem.
Okay.
Or maybe you came up with a really creative solution to a challenge.
Yeah.
Just pick a story that highlights those problem-solving skills.
So what if they say, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about like the challenges that you faced and how you actually measured your success?
So be prepared to go into detail.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to talk about those obstacles and how you overcame them.
And if you can quantify your results, like did you reduce pollution by a certain percentage?
Yes.
That's always super impressive.
Totally.
Welcome back.
All right, so now that we've kind of gone over those interview questions, let's think about the big picture.
Right.
Where can this career actually take you?
Exactly. And RoleCatcher does a really great job of outlining that.
Yeah.
They break down all the responsibilities and opportunities at each stage of your career.
Yeah. So paint a picture for me. Where does someone typically start out in this field?
So you're fresh out of school, right?
Okay.
You're eager to learn. You're probably going to be assisting those senior technicians,
Okay.
getting that hands-on experience, collecting samples, running tests, learning the ropes.
So it's like building that foundation.
Exactly.
So what happens as you get more experience? What does that next step look like? So now you have some experience under your belt. You're going to start taking on more responsibilities.
Right.
You might be conducting your own investigations, analyzing data.
Hmm.
You might even get to lead some small projects,
That's cool.
oversee some field operations, really start making a difference.
So what about someone who's thinking, okay,
Yeah.
I want to be an environmental consultant one day.
Right.
Is that realistic?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a really common path for environmental technicians.
Oh, cool.
And it usually involves a combination of experience, advanced education, and networking.
So you kind of build up that expertise in
Exactly.
a specific area.
Maybe it's air quality, water resources, hazardous waste.
Yeah.
And you start taking on those consultant-type roles,
Right.
you might be advising clients, shaping environmental policy.
So you get to combine those like field and lab skills
Mhm.
with like a bigger understanding of everything.
Yeah, you get that big picture view.
That's awesome. Okay, so we got to talk about certifications
Yeah.
because they can really give you an edge
Absolutely.
when you're looking for a job.
And as you move up in your career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So which ones does RoleCatcher recommend?
So a big one is the Certified Environmental Professional, or the CEP.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and that's offered by NAOEP, the National Association of Environmental Professionals.
Okay.
And it covers a bunch of different topics.
Mm-hmm.
Regulations, risk assessment, remediation.
Okay, and what other ones are there?
So another one is the Hazy-Woper certification.
Hazy-Woper.
Yeah, and this one's important for people working with hazardous materials.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you learn how to identify those materials, how to handle them, how to respond to spills and emergencies.
So it's really about safety.
Exactly.
So we've talked about this a little bit, but RoleCatcher's AI platform is just so cool.
It is.
It's not just for the interview.
Right.
It can actually analyze those job descriptions and give you like really personalized insights. So imagine you're browsing job postings.
Right.
Okay. You find one you like, you plug it into RoleCatcher, and it goes to work.
Awesome.
So it tells you exactly what skills and qualifications they're looking for.
And then it tells you what you can do
Yes.
to make your application stronger.
Yeah. So, for example, let's say they really want someone with experience with a specific piece of equipment.
Right.
RoleCatcher will be like, hey, make sure you highlight that
Yes.
on your resume in your cover letter.
Yeah, it's like that personal career coach.
It is. Right. So I know we've been super practical, but we can't forget the heart of it all.
Totally.
Which is your passion for the environment.
Exactly. That's why we're all here, right?
That's why we're all here. So now that we've covered that, what does the future hold for this field?
Ooh, good question.
What are some of those emerging trends?
So one really exciting thing is how the field is going beyond just measuring and mitigating pollution. It's becoming more about finding those proactive solutions and building a more sustainable future.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, so think renewable energy.
Okay, yeah.
It's huge right now.
Yeah.
And environmental technicians are playing a big part in that. They're assessing sites for solar and wind farms.
Yeah.
They're monitoring the impact of these technologies.
So instead of cleaning up the mess,
Right.
they're preventing the mess from happening.
Exactly. And that requires a whole new set of skills.
Yeah.
You need to be adaptable and innovative. You need to be able to think big picture.
It's not just about checking the boxes anymore.
Right.
So I want to leave everyone with a final thought.
Okay.
Think about how you can use your skills to shape the future of environmental protection.
Wow.
What kind of impact do you want to have?
That's powerful.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into becoming an environmental technician.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It has been, and we've covered so much ground already, from like nailing those interview questions to like figuring out where your career could go.
Right.
But now I want to look even further ahead.
Right.
Like, what's the future of this field?
Right.
What trends should someone entering this career be thinking about?
That's such an important question.
Yeah.
And, RoleCatcher talks about this in their guide.
Okay.
One of the really exciting things is that this field is moving beyond just like measuring and mitigating pollution.
Okay.
It's becoming more about finding those proactive solutions and building a more sustainable world.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, so think about renewable energy.
Okay, yeah, that's huge.
It's booming.
It is.
And environmental technicians are playing a big role in that. They're assessing sites for solar and wind farms. They're monitoring the environmental impact of these technologies.
So instead of just cleaning up the mess,
Right.
they're helping to prevent it.
Exactly. And that requires a whole new set of skills.
Yeah.
You got to be adaptable. You got to be innovative. And you have to be able to think systematically.
It's like a whole different way of approaching it.
Yeah. It's not just about following the rules anymore.
So I want to leave everyone with one final thought before we wrap up.
Okay.
Imagine you're using your skills, not just to get a job,
Right.
but to actually shape the future of environmental protection. What kind of impact do you want to have?
That's a great question.
And there's no one right answer.
Right.
Yep. Maybe you're passionate about protecting endangered species. Maybe you want to tackle climate change.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to educate others.
Totally.
But it's really about finding what drives you.
And you don't need all the answers right now.
Yeah.
It's all about that journey.
Exactly. And we've given you some amazing resources today
We have.
to help you on that journey.
Like RoleCatcher.
Yeah, RoleCatcher's awesome.
They have those free resources. So go check them out.
Start exploring today.
Yeah.
You got this?
You do.
Your passion for the environment, that's a huge asset. Combine that with these skills we talked about.
Yeah.
And you're going to do great things.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating topic.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep making a difference.